Hello viewers, welcome to my Doctor Who themed YouTube channel, Who Ventures. A very happy new year to all the cast and crew and to all of fandom. I love you all, you're all awesome. I'm wearing a party dress that I got in the sale after Christmas. I just fancied dressing up for the Doctor and Dan and Yaz. So this is my review of the New Year's Day special 2022, Eve of the Daleks. So the episode starts with playing a song with "What Are You Doing New Year's" is the song. And then Sarah, she's got her phone's constantly pinging and going off, which is actually really annoying on the sound of the episodes, like bing 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 bing. It's like, yeah, she's getting a lot of text, but it's also really annoying generally anyway. It's like, but then Nick's here and he's got something to put into storage, and Nick's going to his unit and he asks her to go through the what can't be stored list again, and he's bought an old game of Monopoly. So, and then he says, "Oh, see you next year." And then she says, "Oh," and she puts him down for the joke. And then the Doctor's, she's all goggled up with her oven mitts on and her apron, and she's sort of defragging the TARDIS. So it's like clearing up all the systems, getting rid of any extraneous rooms that they don't need. But they can't stay in the TARDIS while it's doing it, because they'll get in the way and they die. It's like, so the TARDIS is doing a resetting thing. A little note that I forgot, I was just reminded on Twitter, on seeing a Twitter post, that the bit when the Doctor sets the TARDIS off to start like cleaning its files, it does look really cool, and I really liked how we saw the legs, the crystal spidery legs pulling apart and all the gears moving. That was cool. I wish we could have seen that action a bit more in this show. So I thought that was excellently done, and very well done to whoever did that. That was really cool looking. And she's promised that she'll take them to sentient beaches to play on, and it's like, it's a bit unfair on a sentient beach. It's like, get your arse off me head, like I'm a load of sand here. Like, oh no, Dan's got budgie smugglers on. Actually, quite like that. It's like sentient beach, and it's like, that must be like really it, if you're a sentient beach and there's loads of people running on top of you and sitting on you. It's like, I get everywhere. And then they go and play chess with the fishes, and this is something which is really annoying. The sentient beach adventure was going to be the place where the Doctor actually talks properly to Yaz, but Chibnall has wrote, it's like, oh yeah, they were going to talk properly on the sentient beach, but I'm not going to put any of that in the show. I'm not going to show you any of that. I'm not actually going to do that story. And that's pretty much one of the most important character development threads that we've got in this era, is Yaz's relationship with the Doctor. And we could, like, but Chibnall just doesn't want to show us anything, but we did get something this episode which was good. But Chibnall I think I agreed with a tweet that LGBTQ plus representation has gone backwards on Doctor Who through Chibnall show running. It's because we had Rusty Davis and it was awesome, and for the time it was like really cool, and but now he's more confident, so I hope he just makes Rusty Davis too. I hope he makes his new era just make it completely hella gay, just don't care what anybody thinks, just make it proper, just be fearless like you have with Channel 4, just make it gay, because we had the gay fabulousness of Rusty Davies, and then we had Stephen Moffat's dominatrix fetish of his era, and then we've got Chibnall's really suppressed schoolboy, because it's that really suppressed and repressed. It's like, where have we come backwards? It's so... So the beach that they were going to go to was Morova Beach, San Morova Beach. And then they burst out the TARDIS, and the Doctor's taking her coat off so she go on the beach. And it's like, where's the beach? And they're in a warehouse in Manchester. And Dan's, Manchester of all places, like Manx at New Year's, and she's like, she don't understand. And I think a lot of like viewers who aren't from those areas wouldn't understand either. So I don't sure if that would have really worked. So this is a temporal disturbance, and we see Nick, and he's got these post-it notes with names on, and he puts one on the shelf, and then he comes out the storage room and the corridors are all red, and then there's a Dalek and it exterminates Nick. Then Sarah's mum rings and find out that she inherited the storage facility. And then the Doctor and the gang, they find Nick exterminated, and the Doctor says, it's a Dalek, and Dan asks, what's a Dalek? And then the Doctor says, a big killing machine, blah blah. She's quite flippant about it. And then the Dalek at reception, and Sarah is exterminated. Then the Doctor does, oh, I'm sonicking it to jam the weapons, which I thought, yeah, because that's really worked all the other times before, not. And it's like, oh, come on, couldn't you have written in something better than just sonicking to jam its weapons? And then, because Dan thinks the Doctor's winning, Dan does a really cute smile. I would say that John Bishop was really cute, especially cute in this episode. But then the Daleks all, Daleks land. Well, yeah, obviously, of course they do. And the gang are exterminated. And then we get the titles. So Nick and Sarah then find themselves back at reception, and they're all confused and spaced out. And then the gang exit the TARDIS again. Where's the beach? And then Dad says, has anybody else getting deja vu? And they're like, yeah, time loop. The Doctor clicks on straight away, so she goes, they run to find Nick, but Nick's running to find Sarah in reception, and then Sarah says, Jeff, and runs off. And then Nick looks at the CCTV camera to see where Sarah's run off to. But then he's exterminated. It turns out there's Jeff. I wonder if it's Ledworth Jeff, because that would be an interesting development for Ledworth Jeff. And he's got like tons and tons of stuff in storage. He's got a whole room full of taxidermy, a room full for holiday goods. It's just like bits of fabric and stuff, and then a room with loads of tins of beef and beans. We find out nothing about why he's got all this in storage. They don't even, it's like, what's the point? It's like, yeah, let's just chuck some props in. We won't bother explain it or even do anything much with them. Let's just fill another room with props and not actually use them or do anything with them. And then we'll fill another room with just loads of cans of beef and beans. and for some reason later on have the Doctor and Dan just sat in the lounge holding a can of beef and beans. Why were they even holding the cans in that lounge area? What was the point? Just random. Chibnall's writing is so rubbish. Then the Dalek is there with Sarah, and she begs it not to exterminate it, but it does. Then the Doctor scans the building, and then they're at reception, and the Dalek calls Dan inferior human. It's like, oh, poor Dan. Dan's awesome. He's brilliant. But then the gang get exterminated again. I was very disappointed that even though they knew they were going to be exterminated, they didn't do, oh no, they didn't do like funny. I mean, they know they're going to come back because it's a time. They could have done some funny poses. That would have been interesting. So the Doctor introduces themselves. Oh, yeah, well. So then everything resets and Sarah is back in reception. And then the gang come out the TARDIS and Dan says Groundhog Day and Yaz says time loop and same difference. Then Sarah bumps into Nick and they're stuck in a time and she says we're stuck in a time loop, we'll kill the robots. And then finally they bump into the Doctor and the gang, and the Doctor introduces her and the gang as building control, and Sarah rants at them about this robot, and then because the Doctor says it's a Dalek, and she's like, is that your robot? And then the Dalek fires at them, so they had this Nick guy's like, quick, get in the storage unit, and then it's like, well, where's your exit? And as the Nick's like, well, there is no exit, it's storage unit, and the Doctor's like, well, there's always an exit, and then she goes and looks for an exit out the back, and then the Dalek's like, I will just wait behind this other door. It's not like, so the Dalek, I'll just wait for you, yeah. It's not like the Dalek's got a mega big shooty blaster gun thing. It's just one of them little push-up doors from like on Storage Hunters. Like, why is the Dalek just sat waiting for him? It could just totally blow that door down. Why is he just sat there waiting for him? This makes no sense. So, and then Sarah finds the names of Nick's exes, because this is Nick's storage unit, and he keeps all his exes' stuff in a storage unit instead of just like giving them back, and then says, oh, yeah, it's not all like really big relationships, some of them really little relationships, but I can't have this stuff in view. Well, we'll give it back to them then. And then Sarah's ranting and Nick saying it's really weird that he does this and he just can't just give back the extra stuff, and he's got all these bits and pieces with his ex's names on, and he comes and puts them in the storage unit, and she's saying it's weird. But then Yaz and Dan's saying, oh, don't be mean to him, but actually Sarah's in the right here. What Nick does is weird, and this, it's not, it's like, just give the stuff back. He specifically goes to a storage unit and then puts post-it notes of all his ex's stuff. That's not normal behaviour, and it's like, why are Yaz and Dan picking on Sarah for wanting this? I mean, Sarah, perhaps maybe she could have been less harsh at him, but then Nick, it's really odd this. Nick decides to be a manipulative idiot, and he says, oh no, or he just walks out and goes to get himself exterminated, like. And it's all, we eventually find out it's all because he's got a crush on Sarah, but he only ever goes at New Year's, even though he knows it's her. He only ever goes at New Year's, which is manipulative because Jeff's let her down, so she's mad, so he can go in and like be knight in shining armour stuff. So, oh, Jeff's let you down again. I know he does this every year, so I'm going to take advantage of your emotions to try and get in with you, but never ask you out, but just sort of be creepy. And he's like been storing his ex's stuff for like 5 years in a storage unit. He's just a creepy guy, and I don't know. So I didn't get the point of Yaz and Dan saying, it just felt unnatural, that dialogue, especially when Nick went to, oh, I'll just give up, get myself exterminated. It's like, and the doctor comes back and says, look for another way out. There isn't another way out. And then, despite the fact that she's, oh, I can jam a Dalek with my Sonic. Use your Sonic. So she could jab the weapons on the Dalek with a Sonic, but then she doesn't bother. Doesn't make sense. Rubbish. And then Dan grabs a ski and an iron as some sort of weapon. Or and then the doctor works out that it's a minute later each time. The time loop is shortening, so the day needs to be unpredictable, so the Daleks can't predict what they're going to do, and the Daleks don't know the plan. So the Dalek comes in, the doctor teases it a bit, and the Daleks are working on closing the time loop. And it's a targeted extermination of the Doctor to get back at what she did in Flux, despite the fact that that was the Centaurians' idea, really. And then the time loop starts again. So the 5th floor, and the Dalek is chasing Sarah, and the goal is to get out the building by midnight. And then Dan decides he's going to go and distract a Dalek, so the Doctor and Yaz can get out the other way and do a plan. And he's like that, and he says, look after each other, because now Kiss is trying to get them to confess their feelings for each other. And then Sarah's telling Nick the plan, and then the Dalek is facing Dan, and it's really cool sequence. Dan like runs around the Dalek, so the Dalek has to spin around, and it does look really cool. And I liked how Dan introduced himself to the Dalek. That was funny. But then Dan gets exterminated, and he's got a very attractive skeleton. And then Nick and Sarah, they find the TARDIS, so that what the heck is that? In Jeff's storage area, and the Daleks are looking for them. Then Sarah apologises to Nick for not saving him the second time. It's like, and says thank you to him for trying to save her. It's like, but she was like going off to look for a weapon, because that is a fair tactic. And then we find out the Doctor promised Jazz a confession on the beach, which is another thing shoved under the carpet by Chibnall. So they find the fancy dress, beef and beans, and Jeff's lounge area, which makes it seem like Jeff is actually living in a storage unit. And then turns out he's got a load of explosives and fireworks, which is just a cheap plot trick to have fireworks at the end on the New Year's special. So then Nick confesses he's got a crush on Sarah, and then the Dalek can hear them, and Nick's exterminated again. Then Sarah runs, and she's exterminated. Then the two Daleks find the Doctor and Yaz, and the TARDIS created the time loop, and the Daleks say they're getting revenge for the Flux. And then it like resets, and Dan's like, "Yeah, I did it! Wow!" And it's like, "Oh, thanks for being nice, guys." And then the Doctor's angry at Sarah for not following the plan, and then Sarah's like all ranting a bit and says, "Oh, Nick's fine," and says, "Good-hearted weirdos are actually the keepers," says her friend Lauren. And then Yaz is like looking at the Doctor, and the Doctor's looking at Yaz, is like, "What?" And then Sarah's worked out that for some reason that time loop can be killed properly at 5 to midnight or something, so they've got to do another plan thing. So then two Daleks come down the corridor either side of Nick to exterminate him, but he ducks when the Daleks say exterminate. And I liked his line, "You think you can kill a Rasta?" That was kind of a fun line. And then Yaz is sticking up for Dan. It's like, oh. And then the Doctor's got planning a big plan, and I think this is meant to be a motivational speech moment. But I think Jodie does well, but because she enunciates, it's like she enunciates every word very sharply and specifically. She doesn't have the technique of Matt, where you can totally belt something out but still be comprehensible. So this is Jodie's sort of style, but the writing could be better than she. The Daleks exterminate them. Then Sarah is back in reception. The Daleks firing. She's exterminated again. Then Yaz shouts at the Doctor, "You're always leaving us." And then the Doctor goes off to do part of the plan, and Dan says, "Have you ever told her how you feel about it?" And it's like, oh, and it takes Dan for we get Canon Phasmin as Dan's being a wingman, and I thought it was, and he mentions about how much she played the hologram when they were back in the Edwardian era, and then I thought it was sweet that Yaz started crying, because she hadn't really come out to herself until that point. And this is like a really interesting and a relatable thing that they could have explored properly in the show, and it would have meant a lot if they'd explored it properly and actually not made it so subtext. But no, Chibnall is like, it's just so cowardly, hides everything in subtext and never actually sitting down and discussing the issue. Like, it's just so frustrating, because as Moffat and Russell, they knew how to discuss the emotions and have the characters talk to each other about stuff and have moments in episodes where there was time for those kinds of discussions. But Chibnall is just, he doesn't care, he just wants to shove it all under the carpet and make the fans do the work, and then when we have to put up with the homophobic bigot fans, we have to fight them off instead of being our ally with the TV show on screen, leaving it up to us lot. And we already, from our own past experiences of trauma, we've already got that to deal with, and now we have to fight off the homophobic and bigoted fans. You could be an ally, Chibnall, but no, yeah, shite at that. And that's what really just disappointed me about your era. and where I think Maxine Alderton should have had a bigger role in Jodie's era. But hopefully she'll get a lot to do with Russell as well, and then maybe eventually get to show run the show herself. That would be amazing. But and then there's a Dalek behind each of them, and then they get exterminated. Then the Doctor gets exterminated. Then the gang come back, and the Doctor finds loads of fireworks that Jeff's got. And then Dan's talking to the Doctor now, saying, Yaz likes her, she likes her. And it's like, oh, I'm glad that he did that. And then I started writing Sarah and Nick, and then I wrote Fasmin, Cannon in capital letters on the notes. Then Yaz tells Sarah and Nick to get to the basement, and that they're doing a decoy plan now, because obviously the Daleks won't click that they're doing a decoy plan. So I've got lost on what all the different plans were. So Sarah gets him, so Doctor doing it for show, and then there's exterminated. And Sarah gets in the lift and rings her mum, because the Doctor needs the phone to do something. And then Dalek finds Nick, and Nick's piled up all the stuff he collected from his exes. So the Dalek fires at it, and Nick just hides behind some boxes. And then it's like, oh, that was cathartic. Exterminated. It's like, ha ha ha. Then Sarah gets exterminated again, and then the Doctor, Yaz and Dan are just sat in Jeff's lounge, randomly holding cans of beef and beans for no reason, pretending they're doing New Year's, like watching the telly, and then they get exterminated. It's like, couldn't have been better plans than this, come on. And then Sarah and the gang do the plan. Then Yaz is like, at the Doctor, and then the Daleks going round, our vision is confused, because Sarah's mum's ringing or something. The gang escape, the unit is demolished, which lets off the fireworks, and then there's the guy, the crane guy from The Woman Who Fell to Earth, is there, like randomly filming it, and then the TARDIS is feeling better then. So, and then they stood outside. Then the Doctor and Yaz still don't properly talk to each other, but obviously they are together, and it's like they like each other. And Dan's all, we need more than Dan going, need more than Dan though. I know you two fancy each other. Like, it's not enough, but it is that's canon Tasman, so well done for that. Well done for the bare minimum, Chibnall. But we didn't get New Year's kiss or anything. And then after the TARDIS, they go in the TARDIS and talk about the next adventure. And then we see this bit where Nick and Sarah are going on holiday. And so they're going on a holiday together, and then it's like Chibnall's being like, oh, we need to be down with the kids. Was it more like a meet cute? It's like Chibnall's trying to be like, hello fellow shippers. Like, no, there's not, and comparing Nick and Sarah to Yaz and the Doctor, which I think is that's not that's not a compliment to Yaz and the Doctor. Nick and Sarah, the most dysfunctional relationship thing ever. Like, he kept all his ex's things on a box. He visited her at the storage unit once a year because he knew she'd be like upset and emotional because Jeff like didn't turn up for the storage or something, and so he knew the one time of year where she'd be really pissed off, upset, emotional to turn up and try and like and still not ask her out. Like it's creepy. And then he's so all his ex's stuff, and then he's manipulative about getting done in by a Dalek. So that Sarah, I think you can do better, love. I really think you can do better than him. So I didn't like that. The meet. It was meet cute. It was just their relationship, just like he has in the Doctor. It's like no, it's not Chibnall. It's not the same thing. Now I have to say, I thought, I just think they could have had a better concept, a better idea than just a time loop in a warehouse with Daleks. What a boring concept. Like, people have said, oh, it's a trilogy, this Dalek thing, where you have the Daleks every year at New Year's. It's a trilogy. Turns out it's not a trilogy, because this has absolutely no relation to the previous Dalek episodes at New Year's. They only needed to do one Dalek episode, which was where the mutant escapes the Dalek. That was a good concept. We didn't need the next Dalek episode, and we didn't need this Dalek episode. We could have had something new and different for each New Year's special, which would have worked a lot better. Because I think my favourite festive specials are Last Christmas, The Snowman, because that is actually something different, and it's really beautiful, and it's just lovely. But 3 Dalek New Year's specials, it's like, what? There's no point. It's just boring. Daleks are boring. Don't even like. The designs last year of the Daleks were pretty good, but it's just, why did we get 3 Dalek specials? Like, and there's no excuse for using the excuse, oh, it's trilogy. It's not. It's just unimaginative. There's so many, like, it's so frustrating, because we could have had something actually decent. I love the Jodie, Mandip and John. I think they do brilliantly, and the guest stars in this episode was real alright too. I love Dan. I love Doctor Who overall. I'm just frustrated with Chibnall's. Is just it could have been a bit better written. I think that's what the rating is for Chibnall's era. It could have been a bit better written, because it's so frustrating. I am excited to see the Sea Devils. I see that they haven't really changed the design of the Sea Devils that much, except they haven't got, like, they seem to have a more in-depth costume than string vests. So it'll be interesting to see the Sea Devils. I'm just really disappointed that we didn't have couldn't like have any extra series with Yaz and 13 together, and that the brilliant people who write the novels and the comic and the text stories and Big Finish that they've got to pick up the pieces that we could have had on screen, because if Chibnall had actually given us more of this character development, more Thasmin on screen and not just shoved it under the carpet, we could have actually had some groundbreaking, meaningful representation, but it's just giving us crumbs. It's not good enough. So this episode, I would give it 6 out of 10, and I would actually raise some of the Flux episodes to up, because this is a 6 out of 10. Then my favourite Flux episodes, the first 2 episodes of Flux need to go up to about an 8, because yeah, we've got a TARDIS team who are really fun and cool, and then we've got no story. There's not enough stories for them, because there's no more stories. There's like 2 stories, and we've actually got a TARDIS team, which is really fun. And we could have had like Dan and Corvinista together. It's like she could have just taken the chip out of Corvinista's head, and then we could have had Dan and Corvinista together. And then Yaz and Doctor together. It's so frustrating. So what am I doing? So during January and February, I'll be working on the Witcher art, and my next Dunvanista piece, which I'm starting research on, is inspired by ancient Greece. Have a little notepad with my thumbnails of loads of different pictures of art I'm going to be doing. So my next video will probably be explaining my Dunvanista Advent Calendar pictures and sharing the stories behind them, and maybe thinking of like doing a video about concepts and science that I'd like to see on Doctor Who, and maybe my episode concepts for a Dunvanista spin-off. But it might take me a while, so I will be working on lots of art. So if you want to chat about the show, Doctor Who, or anything, obviously on Twitter at CuriosityRocks. So I hope everybody has a lovely 2022, and if you need any hugs or anything, just tweet me. So yeah, that was my review of Eve of the Daleks. So here's the photographs of my notes. So I hope you have enjoyed this review, and thanks for watching. Yay!